So next up, we're going to focus on what the airline perspective is. Yasin, if you want to come up, wherever, I think I saw you over there. Come on up and I'll talk while you make your way up. Yasin worked at Virgin, left Virgin, went to Travelport, back at Virgin. He now has the arduous task of implementing Virgin's distribution strategy. Sounds like a really easy job, right?
Yeah.
Super. So I was really fortunate to sit on stage with Veronica from Virgin earlier this year. We were at London, the Airline Information Conference, and the level of engagement we had from the audience was really high. Lots of questions, lots of really pointed hard things for us to take away and think about. And a lot of it really related back to how Virgin positions its brand and works with the community to really develop its offerings. So I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to let you take the clicker. I'm going to get off stage and
thank you, John.
You can take it from there. Good luck.
Thank you. Hi. Hello. Well, firstly, I'm going to apologize because I'm hoping my voice will last a duration of 20 minutes. So if it does go, we'll improvise. But good morning, everybody. And I'm not going to kick off with the slides. What I wanted to do is actually share a story that happened to me last Saturday. Now, those of you that know me, and I know quite a few people in the room, I have a little boy who's nearly 4 years old, and his name's Eli. And I promised Eli I would go and take him toy shopping on a Saturday to buy Captain America. Why not? So we went to, the plan for the Saturday was, get up early, we were going to go to 2 toy shops, then we were going to have some lunch. So we get up Saturday, me and Eli in the car. First toy shop we go to is Smith's. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Smith's in the UK, my local toy shop Smith's is probably the size of a football field, and it's 2 stories, so it's probably every parent's worst nightmare. So I walk in, and there's this aisles of never-ending aisles of toys, and I'm thinking, oh, what have I done? And we get to the Avenger section. Eli's shot right off, and I'm looking at the Avenger set, and I'm seeing like there's 10 Captain Americas up a shelf, up to the roof. But what I didn't realise was there's not actually 10 different Captain Americas. There's only one Captain America version, but they just stock their whole shelf completely. There's no order, there's no standardisation, there's no optimisation in that display. So at that point, I step back, and I look around, and there's a couple next to me, and then there's a young lad next to me this side. And we're all doing the same thing. We're trying to navigate our way through the amount of choice that's there. Do we want an action figure? Do we want an accessory? And at that next point, my son has gone Grand Theft Auto, and I look down, and he's driving this motorised police motorbike towards me. And I think, right, we'd probably call it time out now. So I said to Eli, right, we're going to go to the next toy shop, then we're going to have some lunch, then we'll make our mind up on what we want to do. We get to the next toy shop, and the toy shop's called The Entertainer. Now, this toy shop's probably a quarter of the size of this room, and I'm not going to lie, I went in there and my expectations were low, and I asked the young lady, I said, excuse me, can you just kind of guide me to the Avengers section? And she points me to the corner, and I walk over, and I'm thinking, this is not good. Anyway, to my surprise, we get there, and they've got one action figure on display per section. So you've got Iron Man, you've got Captain America, you've got Thor, you've got Hulk. I could go through the whole list, I love Avengers. But next to each of the figures, there's accessories. And it's the top 3 accessories per Avenger. And better still, it's 3 accessories for the price of 2. We were in that shop for 5 minutes, and Eli's walked out with Captain America. He's got Captain America's shield, he's got Thor's hammer, and something else that I'm sure he'll be choking on at some point in the future. Now, it wasn't until I got home that I kind of reflected on what happened that day. And it was the realisation that if we go to the first scenario, the first shop, Smith's, now, there was a couple next to me, and the young gentleman to the side, When we all walked into that store, we had a good idea of what we wanted to purchase. But the problem was, with no optimization and that much choice, you end up losing sight of what you wanted to actually purchase in the first place. So what does it mean? You walk out. And then I think back to the second store where, do you know what, they had an optimized display. It was standardized. There was added value. And it just made me think, well, this is what I'm trying to do. This is my job at Virgin Atlantic today around how I can drive these standards in retailing. So, we started our retailing journey in April 2018, and funnily enough, at this time, I was actually at Travelport, and I implemented this for Travelport, which was a bit weird, but still. And part of the journey was we actually devised 3 new ways to fly. So we unbundled our economy product, and we had Economy Light, Economy Classic, and Economy Delight. And we differentiated, and we made sure we added value between all 3 of the brands. Standardising all the fare inclusions, ensuring that there was consistency, and more importantly, having the ability to effectively upsell. And this in turn enabling customers to make the right choice at the right time for their travel requirements. The problem is that there was no consistency today of what we were doing on our .com against the indirect channels today. So if you, for example, what you're looking at here is I done a search for London Heathrow to Washington, same date, same route, no consistency. The majority of the time it was commoditized, price-driven. There was no real added value. The USPs that we worked so hard on were not displayed. And ultimately the investment, and we did put heavy investment into our product, was lost. But it wasn't to say that we could blame our key agencies for actually the way this was displayed. We needed to understand why this was and why this was happening. So if you have a look at some of the reasons why this is today, and I won't go through all of these, but I'll maybe highlight some key ones. So we would have a conversation with a particular online travel agency, and they would say, hey, Yaz, look, we need to code against your ancillaries here, but we only use subcodes, okay? And then another agency would turn around and say, well, actually, no, we use the group and secondary group. And then we take that feedback back. However, we go and get our pricing teams to file this, and you've got one GDS that will say you have to do it this way. We'll have a second GDS that will tell us we have to do it a different way. And lucky for us, we'll have a third GDS, and I won't say any names, that tell us we have to be it completely different. So for us, the challenge was standardizing across all 3 GDSs an efficient solution that would actually impact the agencies in an efficient way with their workflows. The other thing as well that's quite concerning is the functionality breakages today. So whether or not you're connecting to a GDS, whether it's through UAPI, whether it's through trip services, whether it's through web services, a lot of the functionality is restricted. And I mean restricted in the way that you're never going to be able to display a full suite of products. You may be able to display the lead price and then one upsell. So straight away, we can't go out to our agents and say, you need to display the full suite, because they just do not have the capabilities to do that. So what do we need to be better at? So for me, we needed to go out and we needed to really understand our customer workflows. We had to make sure that we understood what the dependencies were, what the restrictions were before we can move forward. We also had to define and obviously complete a robust optimization cycle. And this goes back to my time when I was at a GDS as well. Quite often or not, an airline would obviously get over the line and they'll do all this fantastic work around launching branded fares, and it would stop. And I often thought to myself, well, why is that? Because surely once you've actually implemented, that's when work should begin. And that's when you should be optimizing the feedback, talking to your key agencies, how can you improve efficiencies, what do you need to change, and constantly evolve the product. We standardized the filing as best we could. And what that actually meant and resulted in at the end of the day was we actually could maximise our exposure across our key customers we worked with. And in the screenshot, you can see the website against an online agency below. And this helped improve upsell. You've seen some upsell figures already previously shown today, but I mean, before I left from the GDS, we had an average upsell on branded fares at around 35%, and we're actually benchmarking above that now. And then we lead to next generation storefront and how that's helping us with our standardization today. Now, all of the good work we've done has not been lost. And the great thing around NGS in particular that I do love is NGS was at a stage when I came and I started from Virgin Atlantic in June, it had matured quite fast. And you're able today as an airline, and I think there's a lot of airlines in the room that would quite openly say, well, do you know what, we're not actually sure we're ready. We don't actually know what we want to do with NGS yet. And we were in that same position. And let me tell you what actually the work we've done. NGS are able to, or Route Happy, Next Gen Storefront, were able to actually provide us with a content optimization gap analysis. So what this was they sent through an analysis report of all the product and content we have available in the marketplace today and where the gaps were. Now, the fact that we've done a lot of the standardization work put us in a strong place. So it was really minimal. But we were able to make that switch very quickly. And with that quick change, it enabled us to embed this into the NGS workflows moving forward. And in future, bridging the gap between direct and indirect as we continue to grow. Now, there's two things with this. I would say, as a next step as an airline, find out where you are today. Understand the work you've done with your standardization today and what needs to improve. The second stage, and the second step from that, would be then how does that compare to the NGS standards? And you can ask the team quite openly if you can have this report, and they'll send this to you. And then that'll give you to lay out your next phased approach of what you need to do to make sure that you compete and you're market relevant in the NGS look and shop and book. And that's it from me. Thank you very much. We're slightly early as well, which is fantastic for you guys. It allows you to go get an early coffee. And if anyone does have any questions, I am around, so please feel free to come and grab me at any stage. Thank you.